и с бодрыми силами, свежими ушами готовы слушать. Я хочу представить вам Майка. Майка, например, я долго читала, теперь могу посмотреть вживую. И самое интересное, что те талантливые из вас, кто смогут и не постесняются пропичить Майку свою игру, будут иметь шанс. Ну а начнем мы с лекции. Mike, please.
Oh, hi. Cool, hi, yes, so, I'm so loud. Hi, I'm Mike Rose. I am super loud, as I just said, from tinyBuild. So if you were here in Minsk last year, oh yeah, a bit quieter now, that's nice. You probably remember that I was here before, and I used to write for the press like a year ago. And then one night, Alex from tinyBuild got me drunk at the Unity party, and then I was working at tinyBuild. So that's how that happened. So I am going to talk to you today about how to talk about your games, basically, and how to make people care about your game when you're trying to pitch it at them. So I'm going to talk about this for probably about 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and then at the end, I'm going to leave enough time that if you want to ask any questions about anything, you can absolutely ask me anything, and I will hopefully have answers. And also, if anybody wants to try to pitch their game to me, or if they want to tell me about their game, and I will try to, on the spot, work out what you should be focusing on. I don't know how well that will go, that might be terrible, but I'm happy to try and do that. Yeah, you should also understand, if you've not seen me talk before, that I'm a bit ridiculous sometimes, so yeah, you'll see soon, it's fine. So here's the problem. The problem is that you could have created the greatest video game in the world, but no one is going to care because the way that you talk about it is just shit. It's really terrible. I have people coming up to me all the time, and they're pitching games, and people have pitched games enough at me now that I am able to see really quickly what is good and what isn't. And sometimes someone shows me a game, and I can tell that it's a really great game, but the way that they're telling me about the game is just terrible. I guess they've been working on the game, so long, or they've become so into their game, and they can't see anymore what is actually great about their game. Maybe they've become, when you've worked on a game long enough, you become a little sick of it. So a lot of the time, developers don't know what the best things about their game are. So I'm going to try and help you to work out what the good things about your games are, and then not be shit anymore. I'm sure you're not all shit, just a lot of people are. So the first problem is that there's just too many damn games. I think right now there's like 10 games come out every day on Steam for PC. On iOS, on the App Store, there's hundreds every single day, like 300, 400 games every day. So the problem is that when you launch your game, when you release it, you're releasing at the same time as so many more people. And so if you don't have some way to sell your game and to make your game seem more interesting than everybody else's, then your game will just disappear. So I'm going to talk more about that later, but that's the first problem. Yeah, like I say, it's like if you just want to just say, hey, I've got this real-time strategy game that's set in space. There's already hundreds of those coming out every single year. So you're just swimming in a sea of crap, basically, and you need to work out how to climb out of that crap. The second problem, as I've already mentioned, is that most people are actually terrible at talking about their games. And the thing is that it makes sense, right? Because the thing that you do best is making games. You didn't go into games so that you could talk about games. So it makes sense that a lot of people who make you in this kind of creative industry actually find it difficult to then say what it is about their game that's the best thing. So it's difficult to solve problem one, the problem there being too many games. But maybe if we can work out how to talk about our games better, then we're going to be able to survive a bit better, or at least just not get lost. So yeah, that's what we're going to try and do. It might not work. It's not going to work for everybody, but hopefully for some people it will be useful. Yeah, kind of rubbing it in a little bit here. Yes, we're all terrible at making games, at selling games. So the one thing before I start is that some people just find it difficult to talk about games anyway, right? So even if you know what to say, some people just find it difficult to talk, and that's fine. If that's the situation you're in, if you think that you just find it difficult to talk anyway, there are other ways that you can solve this problem. I'm going to go into them later, but I'm just saying this now so that if you're like sitting there thinking, "Oh, this is going to be really difficult for me," then don't worry. We'll get through it. Don't worry about it. So two golden rules of talking about your game before you even think about the pitch are being confident and being enthusiastic about it. And I know that sounds really like something a life coach would say, but it makes a big difference, right? So if you're confident, I love this guy, he's amazing. The thing about being confident is that if I'm talking to somebody and I can see how confident they are in their game, if they're really pumped about it, and you can see that everything they're saying they're not questioning themselves, they're not saying, "Oh, well, yeah, I mean, this bit is this maybe," and I can see that they're not 100% confident about their game, then why would I be confident about their game? There's no reason why I'd say, "Oh, this is amazing," if they're saying, "Well, maybe I do this." You need to. The fact of the matter is that if you are making the game that you want to make and you're enjoying making the game you want to make, then surely you are confident about it, right? You know that this is what you want to make, and you know that each little bit of it is the thing that you want to be doing. So you need to get that across. If you're the kind of person, sometimes it can be that someone is a bit humble, right? And you're showing your game to someone and you're saying, "Oh, it's okay, I guess. Yeah, it's okay." Don't do that. Say, "I have made this game and I am really proud of it and I'm really happy with it and I want to show it to you." And I'm more likely to say, "Okay, cool, show me this game." And then there's another thing as well where people feel like it's stupid to send their game out to lots of places. So like emailing people and tweeting at people, they feel like, "Oh, what if I email someone or I tweet at them and they don't email me back and they just ignore my email? And then I'll feel really sad about it." You can't feel like that, because loads of people are going to ignore your emails and ignore your tweets. But some people won't. There'll be at least a small number of people who won't ignore you. And just being able to do that and be confident enough to do that is really important. So yeah, the other thing is being enthusiastic. So now that you've got this confidence down, you need to actually be really, sound super excited. Whenever a developer comes over and they're showing me a game, and if they're stood and they're saying, "And this is what you do, and you move over here, and it does this," I can tell that they're not enjoying showing the game to me, and so I'm not enjoying it either. And it's becomes quite a depressing conversation where we're both kind of waiting for the conversation to end. When people come over and they're really excited about a game that they're showing me, then I'm excited as well, because it happens. It's infectious. So yeah, and these sound like obvious things, right? Being confident and being enthusiastic sound really obvious, but I would say at least 75% of people that come and show me games don't do these things. They see, so a lot of people seem bored when they're showing me games. And I know it's probably that they've already shown the game to 50 other people today. And so it's becoming very repetitive and, oh man, and you're just getting to the end of the day. But the thing is that these conversations are important, you know? It's if you're not, when you're actually talking to someone who might be, you know, a potential press person who will cover your game, or a potential partner, a potential publisher, you need to be just doing these very basic things. Otherwise, the conversation is just not going to go anywhere. So the number one thing really that captures everything is that even when you have the perfect pitch, you need to be making sure that you're pitching it really well. So it's not even just doing all the stuff I've just said, it's just becoming good at pitching, really. Some people, you know, if you don't actually pitch a lot of things, then you don't have the skills to do it, right? Some people can just do it automatically. Some people know how to just pitch and know how to talk about things. Some people find it more difficult, and really all that they need to do is just pitch lots of things. So if you just try, you don't even need to do it for your game. You can do for your own game. You can pitch it lots of times, or you can just try pitching lots of random things. Maybe next time you're shopping, just start pitching to your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Oh, we should get some ice cream. I'll tell you what's great about ice cream. Oh man, it tastes so nice, and it's half the price today. And oh my goodness, ice cream is the best. And just the thing, it's something as simple as that. Those skills can really carry over into other places and into hopefully talking about your own game. So when it comes to the choosing how to actually pitch your game, a lot of people, when they're pitching games at me, they just say exactly what the game is. So they'll come up to me and they'll say, I am making a mobile turn-based strategy game, and then they'll show it to me. And the problem is that so many other people are making that same thing, are making what you just described. Loads of people are making these games. And so when you describe your game in a very simple way like that, where you're just saying what the game is, that's not, most of the time, that's not useful. You want to be working out what it is about your specific game that is interesting, where when you say what it is to me, then I'm going to say, hey, that sounds cool, and tell me more. And then you can then start telling me more about the game. You can tell me then that it's a turn-based strategy game after you told me what is actually interesting about the game. So yeah, it might be that there's a mechanic in your game that's really cool. So, you know, let's stick with a turn-based strategy game. It might be that there is something that you evolved. There is a mechanic that you have evolved that's really interesting, that when you tell people, they say, hey, that's cool. I've played lots of these games, and I've never seen a game do that before. It might be, for a lot of games recently, something as simple as the story behind the game. Maybe the actual narrative of the story, or it might be how the game is being made. It might be who you are. It might be who your studio is. Any of these things, it could be something very, very specific about the game that when you tell people, maybe they laugh or they say, whoa, that sounds amazing. You need to have that reaction from people. When you tell them about your game, the very first thing you want them to say is, oh, wow, that sounds good. And then you tell them more, because you need that reaction first to hold their attention. So what I'll do is I'll look at some of the games that we've published recently and are publishing, and I'll talk about why we like the look of them in the first place, and why, and essentially how the pitches for the games have evolved, because that's the main thing, right? The first pitch that you come up for your game will be terrible. It'll just be rubbish. So you need to evolve it. You need to talk to other people. You need to work out what exactly it is that's interesting about the game, and that's what we do. We look at the games and we talk to each other. Hey, this is cool about the game. Yeah, that's cool, and we work out pitches from there. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to play video here. It doesn't matter if I can't. I'll try and play the video. And is it going to play? Yes. Oh, maybe. No. 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 Oh, no. Okay. Well, maybe it's not going to play. Well, I mean, a lot of you will probably know Party Hard. It's a game about going around parties and killing people, and you have to kill everybody at the party to win. So that would be an okay pitch, saying that, just saying that you go to parties and kill people. But as we were telling people about the game, then people responded much better when we told them that it was a story about a man who had neighbors who kept having parties at 2 o'clock in the morning and kept keeping him up at night. So eventually he snaps and he decides to go down and murder them all. And people like, we get a lot more laughter from that than just saying you go to parties and murder people. And so it's trying to essentially take the pitch that you had. And so we like the idea for Party Hard because of the going around and killing people at parties. But we realized that people responded to the story of Party Hard better. And then once we had that story, then we were able to then tell them more about the game. So once we told them there's a guy who is being kept up at night and then goes and kills everybody, then we then from that point, and they say, oh, that sounds interesting. And then we tell them, yeah, and here's what happens in the game. And we tell them more about the game. And as we're telling them more about the game, we're showing them the game and we're letting them play the game. So it's working out that very initial, hey, this is the thing about the game that people like the most, and going with that. I'll try and click this video as well, but maybe the videos aren't working. Oh, that's a shame. Oh well. Yeah, so Punch Club is another one that's coming out soon. And so this one's difficult because it's essentially a boxing management simulator, which sounds really strange. When you say it to someone, their reaction's always, oh, that's weird. And so with Punch Club, when we're talking about this game, we talk about a lot of the, in the game there's lots of references to the 90s, to lots of movies from the 90s, and lots of, kind of lots of like boxing references. And people respond to that because people like nostalgia. They like to see the posters that are in the game. They like to see all the little bits and pieces. And once we can talk about that, once we hook them in with that, then we can explain to them, yeah, and it's a management game, and this is what happens, and we can show them then all the little bits and pieces about the game. And especially with Punch Club, what we really do is just we very, very quickly tell them what the game is, and then we give it to them. We'll just have an iPad, we'll give it to them, we'll say, here, have a go, and we just let them play, and we don't tell them anything else, because we don't want to, a lot of the things in the game are things where people will laugh, and they'll think, oh, that's cool, that's funny. So we want to basically sit them down with the iPad and just have them find those things out for themselves. So, like I say, we hook them in initially, and then we show them the game. And that's the way that we sell this. With Dungelot, I'm guessing the video is not going to work again. No. Oh, well, whatever. So with Dungelot, it's a little different. With Dungelot, it's difficult to describe the game. Well, it's easy to describe the game, but it's difficult to make the description of the game something where people say, wow. Because it's essentially a dungeon crawler that kind of has Minesweeper elements to it, which sounds kind of cool, but it's not entirely enough. So with Dungelot, what we find is we get that iPad to them immediately. We just give it to people. Sometimes I've been in places where I've just given it to them and I've said, this is Dungelot. And I don't even say anything else. I just hand it to them and just let them start tapping on the screen, because it's the kind of game where the moment that you start playing it, so you start tapping on the squares, then people just get it immediately. And if you have that kind of game where it's not incredibly, like it's easy to pick up and it's not complex immediately, then you need to be doing that. You need to always have a build of the game ready. I did the speed game dating yesterday, and actually a lot of the people who were showing me games were doing a thing where they didn't let me play the game. They would sit and they'd say, here's my game, and I'm going to show it to you now. And they'd sit and they'd have their iPad, and they'd hold it to me, and they'd say, look, here's the things that I'm doing, and here's how the game works. And that's okay, but it's much, much better to just give it to me and just say, here, play it. And you can explain the game while I'm playing it. You can be saying to me, oh, try doing this, or, oh, go into this bit here. Here's a different thing in the game. But I am going to respond much better if I'm allowed to play your game and I'm allowed to actually try it out than if I just watch you playing it. And I mean, another problem yesterday I found as well is that a lot of people just wanted to show a video of the game and describe it. And again, that's okay, but it's nowhere near as good as actually giving the game to someone and saying, play it. So if you're in a situation where you can give the game to someone and let them play it on the spot, always do that over showing them a video. So yeah, as you can see, like with the 3 different games, we have very different ways to approach talking about them. So what you need to do with your games is you need to just keep trying. If you have other people, if there's other developers that you hang around with, you can use them, right? So you can try showing your game to them and see what they think is the best things about the game. And then try pitching it to them, and then try it to some other people. Say, hey, can I just show you my game? And say something, and see what their reaction is. If their reaction isn't, oh, that sounds cool, then you need to keep thinking about what your pitch is. Because if you're just going to sit and just tell me it's a space game and you fly spaceships and this is that, there's loads of games that do that. So you need to be finding the kind of pitch that matches your game. So what I've tried to do is I've taken a few of the games from the Gameplay Showcase, and I thought I'd try looking at how some of the devs here talk about their games, and also what it is about. So each of these games I spotted out of kind of the batch of games. So I want to talk about why I spotted those games as well, and essentially try and talk about how maybe their pitch could be better and what it is that they're doing right and wrong. So first one was the long reach. These guys here. So this game looked really cool, right? It's the visually it's really nice. And when you have a game that looks like this, where it's quite standout, you can use that. You can use the visuals to pull people in. It's always a good way. So I've written down how they describe the game on their website. So I'll read it to you. It says, the Long Reach is an episodic, intricate adventure where you solve puzzles, run, and hide. The world is a twine of reaching hands, yet even endued with money power, divine blessing, or technological might, they are nothing but hands of mere men. So from what I can tell, the angle they're going for here is to kind of make it a bit mysterious, right? And when you're looking at things for the game, when you go and look on the website and you watch the video, you can't. It says it's an adventure game, but you don't completely know what it is. You don't know what kind of game it is, and that's good. That's fine. You can be mysterious about your game. It works for a lot of games. Not saying completely what a game is and just being mysterious and letting people build up anticipation. I think though that with that description, it's long and it's very difficult. I think in trying to be mysterious, it comes off kind of confusing. I don't know if you were confused when I was reading it or you really understood what the game was about. I think especially with a game like this, it could just be a really simple, just very, very simple phrases, and just try and keep it as simple as possible. So saying it's an adventure game is fine, but then choosing one thing in the game. So choosing, like I say, I've not tried the game, so I don't know exactly what the mechanics are. but checking out the game, seeing which parts players seem to like about the game, and then choosing those mechanics and maybe mentioning one of them. So I know like darkness is mentioned a lot, right? And it seems like it's a horror game, and horror games are pretty big, as I'm sure you all are aware. So that, for example, would be a good route to go down. The kind of mysterious horror games seem to do quite well at the moment. So yeah, it essentially, I spotted this one because I did like the mystery of it and I like the look of it. It just needs a little bit of refining, and then I think a lot more people will start picking up on it. So with Breached, this one jumped out because it was one of the only ones that looked like it was a first-person adventure game. So I'll read the thing here. For Breached, they've written on their site, Breached is a story-driven sci-fi adventure with drone flights and research scavenging. The year is 2245. Being urgently awakened from hibernation, you find only desert around. Your shelter damaged, oxygen is low. So that all sounds pretty good, but as a pitch, you want to be trying to work out things that are exciting to people at the time, right? So, for example, right now, things like building a shelter and scavenging are obviously kind of big news, because of games like Rust and DayZ and things like that. If you can use the popularity of other genres and other games at the time to essentially, try to sell your game, then that's fine. And it's absolutely fine as well. Maybe not on your website, but when you're talking to other people about your game, it's absolutely fine to mention other games that you're inspired by. I think a lot of developers sometimes tell me they don't want to mention other games because they're worried that people will think they just copied other games or they're not doing something unique. But a lot of the time when someone pitches a game at us and they say it's a bit like this other cool game that came out recently, and I think, hey, I like that game. That was a good game. So maybe I want to check out what this is. That's absolutely fine. You can absolutely do that. One example is with the Final Station, the other one that I picked out. So with the Final Station, it's so this game is essentially set in like a post-apocalyptic world where you're driving a train and there's survivors on the train, and you have to keep getting off the train to go and get fuel. And there's these horrible zombie-like things that attack you when you try and get the fuel. So when I was playing this, I was thinking this is actually quite a lot like a post-apocalyptic version of This War of Mine, which is obviously a brilliant game. So if you essentially just take this and just say that the Final Station is a post-apocalyptic This War of Mine with trains, because everybody loves trains, then you've kind of got a really easy pitch right there. If these guys say that sentence to people, then the chances are that a lot of people are going to like the sound of that and want to know more about the game. And of course, the game looks kind of beautiful as well, so that does help. So yeah, essentially, I've tried to, through all of these examples, through the tinyBuild examples and through all of the GAMM play examples, give you an idea. The number one thing is that you need to not make it the same pitch as everybody else's. That's just the number one thing. If you are trying to get my attention, don't just say what everybody else is saying about their own games. So even when you have a good pitch, there's still plenty of ways that you can mess it up. For one, if English isn't your first language, which I assume is most of you in here, then you'll really want. It's a really, really good idea to get someone to check over all of the English in the game, at least on your website, and especially if the game has a lot of text in it. Because for English-speaking people, so for the games press in the US and in the UK, and for a lot of the big YouTubers, it's quite off-putting. As horrible as it sounds, it's quite off-putting when there's there's some bad English or some bad grammar or there's a spelling mistake in the middle. It destroys the immersion of the game. So if you know somebody or you're able to find someone who can check over the English and work with you to make all of that as perfect as possible, then that's fantastic. If you think that you're not confident enough to do that, then you're going to want to find someone to help you, which I'll talk about in a second. The number 2 way is that you just don't take your game out and show it to people. And I know this is really difficult because it's difficult to get to these shows. It is expensive to get to these shows. If you've been to PAX or Gamescom, you know that everything is expensive and all of your money is gone at the end, and you are now very sad. So if it's the case, the thing is, you need to be showing your game at shows like this. All of the games that you see that are successful were at PAX, and they were at Gamescom, and they were at E3. They were at shows. You can do okay not showing it at shows, but you greatly improve your chance if you can get your game there. So again, if you can't get to shows, then it's a good idea to find someone to help you. The third way is that if you aren't actually finding time to do it, then that is an issue. So there's a lot of developers who come to us and they say, I don't have the time to do this. I'm making my game. I want my game ready by April. I want to release it in April. And between now and April, I do not have the time. I'm making the game. I'm crunching on the game. I don't have time to be searching for email addresses and tweeting at YouTubers and doing all of this stuff. It's very draining as well. If you're making a game and you're also trying to do all of this, it can be very easy to start doing it and then realize how tough it is and realize that it's going to take forever and you're going to just be there. I have sat for days just collecting email addresses, and it's extremely draining. So the idea of making a game and then also in between making the game also going and finding email addresses, to me sounds awful. And so if it's something that you think is going to be difficult for you, then again, you're going to probably need some help with that because it is very, very important. That's why at the moment there's this boom going on of PR firms who will take games to shows and talk about them. So there's people like Evolve PR who work with a lot of smaller developers to take their games to a bunch of shows, to email everybody out. And I mean, I don't know their specifics of how they work and how much they cost, but it's definitely, if you feel like all of these things I've just been saying that are difficult are going to apply to you, it's definitely worth checking it out because it might make your life a million times easier. And of course, a lot of the smaller publishers as well now. So obviously there's us, there's Adult Swim, and there's Devolver, and there's so many of them now. There's dozens of these smaller publishers now. And that's happening because there's so many games. There's just so many games that people are now really worried that when they release their game, no one will care. And they're not going to, if they release on Steam, it's just not even going to appear on the front page and they'll never get seen again. So again, if you feel like any of this is going to be a problem for you, then it's worth talking to people who might be able to handle it for you. Because at the end of the day, say a publisher takes 30% off you or something, that 70% that you're taking, 70% of a lot of money is better than 100% of no money. So you really need to be thinking, if you're thinking, I don't want to go with a publisher because I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to be able to do it fine on my own, and and they'll take money from me, you need to consider that actually in the long run it might be best for you to do that. The best way to work out, if you do want to work with somebody, the best way to work out who to work with is to talk to other developers who have worked with them before. So you can go to the publishers and you can ask them, you can ask them the deals they do, and you can ask them whether they'll work with you. But there are so many developers who have already worked with publishers, and they will tell you the truth about the kinds of deals that happen and about what happens while you're working with a publisher. And it's very easy to find people, like if you just go on like Unity forums and you go on TIG source forums and places like this, there'll be plenty of people who will be happy to talk with you about who is good and who is not. So that's, if this is a route that you're thinking of going down, definitely go and do that. So Alex from tinyBuild wrote an article which you may or may have not read. It's in English and Russian, called "How to Pitch Your Game to a Publisher." It's worth reading that. It has lots of like extra pitching tips, like very, very specific pitching tips in it. It's got a lot of the stuff I've been talking about as well, but it's definitely worth reading because it's just there's such a lot of people just fall at the first hurdle when they're trying to pitch their game, especially via email. It's a lot harder than doing it in person. So yeah, it's worth reading that and making sure that you take into account all of the tips. So just to kind of wrap it all up, really, the things that I've been saying that I'm trying to hammer into your heads, you need to work out what it is that makes your game different from everybody else's, and tell me about that first. Don't tell me it's a puzzle game for mobile that's free to play with in-app purchases. Tell me what it is about your game that is very specifically different and interesting. Be enthusiastic when you're talking about your game. It's so important, because if you're being like that and you're talking to me and I'm seeing your smiling face, and you look like you love this game that you're making, then the chances that I will like it as well are much, much higher. And if you're the kind of person who finds it difficult to pitch, then do lots of it, and do it at friends, and do it at strangers, and just try and find people who you can pitch at. And then if you find any parts difficult, maybe you don't have the time, maybe you just find it difficult to talk in the first place, then maybe consider finding, like a PR firm or a publisher to help you, because it will greatly improve your chances the majority of the time. Cool, yeah, so I finished. So, like I said at the start, if anybody to tell me about their game now, or if anybody has any questions or anything really, you can ask me anything. Maybe not weird things, I don't know. Depends on how weird it is. But I'm happy to answer questions. So, thanks.
У кого есть вопросы?
Yo.
Hi, Mike.
Oh.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Excuse me. So we have a shorter variant of our pitch.
You got a what, sorry?
A shorter variant of our pitch.
Can we repeat?
Yes.
You want to re-pitch the long reach? I'm down with that. You can try and pitch it if you want, yeah.
Okay. The Long Reach is an episodic thriller adventure where you should solve puzzles and run for your life.
And run for your life. Yeah. So you could probably even make it shorter. Like the run for your life thing is good. I like that because it's got mystery and it's got the horror. But the bit where you're saying, like, you don't need to say it's episodic. You don't need to say that bit. The bit about it being episodic can come later. You can describe when you're then talking more about the game. You can tell that them later. So if you can cut it down even more than that, you can say it's like a game about running for your life, and then show show the video or show the screenshots. And that for me sounds interesting. I'm like, okay, so all right, I'll watch this video now. I'll try this game. Like just something as simple as that. And then once you've shown me the video or you've let me play some of it, then you can say to me, yeah, so we're going to make it in episodes and there's going to be puzzles. Because loads of games are episodic now and lots of games have puzzles in them. So that's, even though it's called as puzzles, that's not the big thing about your game, right? The big thing is the darkness and the being scared. So if you just tell me it's a game about running for your life, that's cool. That's cool, I like the sound of that. I will see the game. Cheers. Anybody else?
Кто еще?
Anybody? Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, Mike, Alexander, do you like dragons?
Do I like dragons?
Yes.
Yeah, they're okay. Yeah.
And I have a game where dragons battle each other with high-tech weapons attached to them.
Okay.
And it's MMO.
Okay.
Would you like to see video?
So what kind of weapons do the dragons have on them?
They have plasma, they have rockets, yeah.
Okay.
Railgun and...
So when you describe it then, instead of saying they have high-tech weapons on them, you can specifically say, we have a game about dragons that fire plasma. Or you can say, we've got a game about dragons with rockets on their backs. And things like that. It sounds very simple, but that sounds more exciting than saying they have, like machinery or weapons, right?
Okay.
So yeah, it's all. I guess what I'm saying, it's all about just trying to condense it down. Try and work out the very, very specific thing. So describing the weapons is a cool thing there. So yeah, that works.
Also, dragons are 8 different types.
Yeah.
We have healers, stunners, and so on.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff you describe afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you've told someone about the dragons.
Showing video.
Okay. I will see it afterwards. But yeah, the talking about the dragons and the weapons is cool, and then you show the game.
Yeah.
And then you start talking about the different types of dragons that are in it. Yeah, that's the way you do it. So.
Okay,
Cool.
Thank you.
Excellent. Anybody else? Yes.
I want a...
Where are you? Hello. Hi.
Hey, I have a question. Can you tell me how to pitch with a letter? I mean, usually we can't make a meeting with a publisher or something or a partner face-to-face. Usually. I mean, when I'm here in GDC somewhere in San Francisco,
yeah.
and I want to pitch my game to a possible partner, I know his email. Is there any special advice how to describe the game through letter?
So you want advice for just talking to publishers?
No. How to describe the game when you can't pitch it face to face? I mean.
When you can't pitch it face to face.
Yeah. When you need to make a description in the market, or maybe via email or something, when you can't do it with emotions by yourself.
Okay. So if you check out Alex's post that I put up, that's really useful for this kind of thing. But there's very simple things. So part of the reason I keep saying to try and work out a very simple, very specific, cool thing about your game is that when you're emailing someone or you're tweeting at them or whatever you want to do, having that one line that they can read in less than 10 seconds is very, very important, because that's the line. If I'm getting lots and lots of emails and I see your email and I see that one line and it makes me think, man, that sounds cool, I want to read the rest of the email. But if the very first line is, we have a real-time war game set in space, then the chances are I'm looking at all these emails, I might just go to the next email because that doesn't grab me immediately. There's lots of other tricks, like if you use GIFs in emails, and just have, like, when someone opens your email, they read a line, and then there's a really cool GIF of your game. that's looping that is just showing something like that looks amazing or looks stupid or just really, really captures my attention. That works really well as well. But I would go and read Alex's article because there's lots of these kind of things in there that will help you. Cool. I think it's just back there. Hi.
Hi, Mike.
Hello.
How do you like the written game about love, likes, and nights of social media?
Wait, say again, I missed it.
A written game about love, likes, and nights of social media.
Love, lights, and nights of social media.
Yeah, love.
What?
Love. Love.
Oh, love?
Yeah.
Oh, I like love. Yeah, love's good.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Nights of social media.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And we've got a talking Salman. You can talk to him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and he
I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that, yeah. Nights of social media. That's good. That's a good line.
Check
Yeah,
out Paper Night.
Yeah. I played Paper Night. I know Paper Night. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's why I like the sound of it. Cool. Anybody else? There's someone here?
Sure.
Someone. Oh, man. Oh, I think we've got Mike over there. Oh, no. There's someone here. Someone at the front. Go, go, go. Yeah, that's it. Run. Run. Hi.
Thank you. I'd like to make a small pitch.
Yes.
Okay, our game tells a story about an old man that lives on a lonely planet and where people communicate by lights on their houses. And one day he sees that each other people's lights start going out one by one, and he starts his amazing journey to find out what's actually happening to his planet.
That's cool. I like the sound of that. Yeah, that's really cool. And actually, it doesn't surprise me that like the people who are now pitching at me, I like the sound of the games, because I would imagine that if people are confident now to put their hand up and talk about their game now, it's because they know they have a good pitch. So yeah, that sounds great, and it sounds great because you didn't even tell me what the game was, right? I have no idea what kind of game that is, but it doesn't matter because it sounded cool. The story sounded cool, and so then once I've then heard that, and you show me a video or you show me the game, you can then tell me this is what kind of game it is, and you can show me what it looks like. So yeah, that's absolutely perfect. That's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about here.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
So all these examples apply to some, I think, mid-core or hardcore games. What can you do if you make some casual, simple games for kids and women?
Mm-hmm.
Many developers use such words as juicy, colorful, bright, time killer, but you know, each game is a time killer. How can you get someone interested in the game?
Yeah, so yeah, it's difficult if, you know, obviously with more hardcore games, a lot of the time there are mechanics that are exciting, right? But if you're making like a match 3 game, it's a lot more difficult to pitch that at somebody because there are lots and lots of match 3 games, right? So if you say it's a match 3 game, there'll be some people who just immediately just say no. I'm not talking about this. So it is more difficult. But I think with a lot of the more casual games, it's the actual pitching to people like the press and YouTubers and people like that isn't actually so important, because with a lot of the time these people don't cover casual games anyway, right? Casual games are a lot more about social media and are a lot more about the monetization and how much you're spending on marketing, etc. So I think there's a lot of games that break from that and have interesting mechanics, and people pick up on them because of that. But if you're making a game where it's aimed at like a mobile audience who maybe you don't need to be pitching at people anyway. You need to be working out the strategies for how you're going to just sell the game and get it into lots of people's hands. So yeah, sorry if that was a terrible answer. Um, anyone else? Oh, yes. Hello.
Yeah, hello Mike. Yeah, so I just want to pitch a game for you.
Yes.
Yeah, so you probably heard it already, but I just
Yeah.
after your speech, so I decided to change a pitch. So
Okay, go for it.
Skyship Aurora is a game about time. No, a Skyship Aurora is a game where you play as a time-traveling AI on board of a battleship that flies skies and fights other battleships.
Yeah, that's cool. So I would suggest making it shorter. I don't think you need to say everything, all of that stuff. So like you can say, you don't need to say that you fight other battleships because you can say that later. The time traveling is cool because there aren't many games about time traveling. And when there are games about time traveling, they're usually pretty cool. So yeah, the time traveling and the being a robot, being an AI as well is cool. Yeah, that works as an angle. It just needs tightening a little bit. Just cut off some of the end, and just make it really short, and just talk about the time traveling and the AI stuff. Yeah, and that works. Cool, perfect. Anybody else? No? Yes? No? Yes? Oh, got somebody else. God, I can't see. It's so bright. Is there somebody else?
Hey, Mike.
Oh, hi. Hang on, I can't see you.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
There we go. Hi.
You saw my game yesterday, or Speed Game Dating, right? Diamonds, you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to try to make a pitch for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Only chosen people can reach level 19 in this mind-blowing puzzle game. If you are cool enough, we have four more hundreds for you. Levels.
Okay, so yeah. So I see, so the idea of, and I see it a lot actually, where you essentially, through your pitch, you challenge people to play the game. And it sometimes works, but actually I think some people find it a little bit irritating to have like a challenge as a pitch, because I think, I've talked to people about this before, I think some people feel like if your pitch is, I dare you to play my game, I bet you can't do this, then maybe it's hiding the fact that there's not so much to the game, if that's what your pitch is. I know that sounds horrible, but and probably it works on some people, right? I see it a lot in mobile games. A lot of mobile press releases that come out will say things like that. But I would maybe not use that as the pitch, and instead maybe use that somewhere else. So think of something else as the first line, as the get into it, and then as part of the actual talking about it, you can say, oh, and this many people have managed to beat the game, and then I might say, oh, okay, well, give it me, I'll have a go then. So yeah, I wouldn't use it as the main pitch. I'd use it as a follow-up to the pitch. If that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yes. Have we got a microphone? Oh, sorry, it's over here. We'll come to you in a sec. Hi.
Hi. So yes, what are you gonna tell about a game where you can control your main hero, but you're trying to help her to survive in her own mysterious, messed up dream?
In her own what, sorry?
Dream.
In her own dream.
Yes.
Okay, so I like the idea, but the pitch needs refining. So starting with like you control a hero, that's not a very like exciting. Yeah. It's not a very exciting sentence really. You can control a hero. The dream thing is cool. So like if you're playing through someone's dream, that will be it's a good idea to try and use that as the pitch, but you want to try and make it so maybe focus on something to do with the dream. Why is it interesting that you're in a dream? What is it in the game that makes it interesting that the game is in a dream? And focus on that instead of saying you play as a hero. And that will probably work better, I think. That makes sense. Cool. Do we have mic? Oh, got mic figure there.
Hi, Mike.
Hey.
Oh. Are you hearing me? Okay.
Yes.
So I want to tell you about my game. It's called Sky Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So Sky Hill is a game where you came to the city, got VIP room in the luxury hotel, and apocalypse happened.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So I know Sky Hill, and Sky Hill looks really nice as well. So the thing there is that you can show shots and videos of the game, and the pitch won't be as important because you can use that. But I think with the sentence, it sounds silly, but the sentence is quite long and just quite cumbersome. It goes on for a bit too long. But the focus of it is good. The idea of going to a hotel and the apocalypse hits, that's cool. And maybe just say that. That's all you need to say, right? And it's cool because, again, you don't say what the game is, right? I have no idea what that game is. And if I'd never seen it before, I wouldn't know what the game was about. But it doesn't matter because the story sounds cool. And then you'd show me a video and a screenshot, and I'd say, okay, this looks cool. And I'd then want to talk about your game more. So yeah, that works.
Thank you.
Cheers, man. We've run out of time. Okay. Well, if there's anybody else who wanted to pitch anything else at me or ask me any questions, I'm going to be here. So you can
Давайте поблагодарим Майка.
Thank you.